He's been a football player since he was a child, and for the first time in his life, he's no longer going to be a football player, and he's in his mid-30s. Like, his whole life has looked like this. And a lot of us can identify with that. Like, you just, like, your personhood is identified as the thing that you do. Welcome back to the Therapist React series. If this is your first time here, this is the video series where I cover things going on in pop culture and in the news to highlight the mental health and psychological aspects of the stories so that we can have better mental health. And today, Jason Kelce, who plays American football, he plays for a team called the Philadelphia Eagles. He's played for 13 years and is widely recognized as one of the best centers, that's the position he plays, that has ever played the game. Certainly one of the best centers that is playing right now. And today he retired. Jason Kelce has become an unbelievably popular player. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, his personality. In the NFL these days, players show up on game day wearing suits and really high fashion things. Like, it's actually kind of a show now to show up at the game wearing like these crazy outfits. And Jason Kelce shows up wearing sweatpants, a t-shirt, and flip-flops or sandals, whatever you call them. And someone asked him about this. Why do you do that? And he said, because I'm not into that other stuff. I just want to play football. And it really endeared him. His personality and his effort really endeared him to the city of Philadelphia. And today he had an emotional retirement. I mean, this is a very successful player. He went to multiple Pro Bowls, which is basically the All-Star game for the NFL. He went to the Super Bowl a couple of times in his career, winning it once. I'm just a very, very successful player. But I want to tell you about the things that stood out to me during his talk, during his retirement speech. The first thing that stood out to me is the emotion he showed and how openly vulnerable he is. I think one of the most important things in, having good, strong mental health in this human journey is being your authentic self. And I think Jason Kelce is an example of that. He's been an example of that throughout his career. He has a very popular podcast with his brother, and he is an example of that. And to give you an example of what I mean, Travis Kelce had a moment during this most recent Super Bowl. Travis Kelce, his brother, plays tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. And during this recent Super Bowl, he had a moment where he aggressively bumped into Andy Reid, his coach. And during the podcast, Jason Kelce held him accountable. He said, look, you went too far in this moment. Like, that's just the way he is. And his authenticity really was on display as he was willing to be vulnerable in the incredible macho environment, the incredible testosterone-filled environment that is professional sports, specifically professional football. And I really enjoyed listening to his retirement speech. It made me think of previous retirement speeches I'd heard, but this one felt like probably the most open and the most vulnerable and the most personal. With some of the people he thanked and some of the things that he shared. I think another really important quality in terms of having really strong mental health is resilience. Jason Kelce did not become who he became by accident. He shared some of the adversities he experienced and how he wasn't very good at different parts of his career, and he had to work hard. He had to work hard to overcome those things. He had to persevere. Mentally healthy people don't expect success, they work for it. They don't expect easy times, they endure the hardships. And Jason Kelce talked about exactly how he did that. And I think it was a great example. A lot of us get to a point where it is time to end one chapter and create another. And just because it is time, it doesn't mean that it is easy. It doesn't mean that it is simple. And it doesn't mean that it will not hurt. But when it is time to end one chapter of life and create another, it is time. So if you find yourself in a situation where your identity is wrapped up into something, like one of the hardest things about retiring from things like the NFL is he's been a football player since he was a child, and for the first time in his life, he's no longer going to be a football player, and he's in his mid-30s. Like, his whole life has looked like this. And a lot of us can identify with that. Like, you just, like, your personhood is identified as the thing that you do. So what do you do when you have to change that? And it's the same thing I wish for Jason Kelce, and I can actually already see it happening. What he's doing as he shifts into a media personality via his podcast is you have to create a second identity. You have to create a new home for your personality. You have to create like whatever the next iteration is in your evolution as a person. The next evolution for Jason Kelce obviously involves the media, and he's already begun that process with the podcast that he has with his brother. And if you find yourself in a situation where something that you once very strongly identified with, you have to end and change, make sure you create a new home for your evolution. Make sure you create a new place for your personality. Make sure you create the next thing for you to identify with. Jason Kelce talked about how challenging this last season was because the Philadelphia Eagles were flying high in the beginning of the season and then completely fell apart at the end, and he referred to the season as it sucked. But it was still time for him to end things. And oftentimes we do have to end things in undesirable circumstances while there is unfinished business. But when it is time to create a new chapter, you'll know it. And it is time to create a new chapter. Maybe my favorite thing, there were two parts of this speech, his retirement speech, that I would say are my two favorite parts. The first one is when he talked about how much he enjoys when people doubt him. His mother has said throughout his whole life, if you want Jason to do something, just tell him he can't do it. And that really resonated with me because like there's a fire that burns in me when someone tells me I can't achieve something. My mother would tell you the same thing, and I've been doing that my entire life. Like, I absolutely love proving people who have doubted me wrong while simultaneously proving people who have supported me correct. And both, like, a lot of people have both. Jason Kelce highlighted that you can't achieve success alone. Like, you really do have to rely on people around you. And I think sometimes we ignore the people around us who are supporting us because we're so focused on the people who we identify as haters. But I really enjoyed that part of his speech because, number one, it resonated with me personally. I'm very much that way. There is nothing in the world like proving people that doubt you that you can be successful. There was a guy early in my career named Michael. I won't say his last name, but his name is Michael. And he was trying to coordinate a time for me to come to Sydney, Australia to give a lecture. And he said, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off because you're not famous enough. And he said it very rudely, like, you're not very famous, so we'll see if we can pull this off. And that kind of stuff lit a fire in me so badly as people doubted my ability to grow and rise in this profession. And I'm so proud that I'm the most recognized person in the field of the type of therapy that I do. So when Michael doubted me and sent me that email saying, like, you know, we'll see if we can pull this off and you're not famous enough, like, that lit a fire in me from my very soul. And I remember thinking, like, I'm going to work until that sentence is no longer relevant. I'm going to work until that sentence is no longer true. I'm going to work until that person can never say that thing about me again. I don't care about fame or recognition or any of that, but I do care about doubt. And for him to express doubt as me as a lecturer and whether or not he could pull off an event with me as the headliner, I was on fire to disprove him. And I honestly feel like some of the things that have happened subsequent to that, like, I have 5 books, my 6th one's coming out later this year in this field, and they're all bestsellers in my field. I have been interviewed on some of the largest platforms in the world, like The Breakfast Club, And I'm having a TV show that's being executive produced by Tiffany Haddish, and I have a podcast that's about to be released on a podcast network owned by Charlemagne the God, and so much more. Like, I've literally built a multi-7-figure business that is the largest training organization in the field of solution-focused brief therapy. And I don't think any of it would have happened if not for people like Michael doubting my ability to be a leader in this field. So I really resonated with that message that Jason shared. And I don't think any of this would be possible if I didn't have my teammates, if I didn't have Anna, if I didn't have Adam, if I didn't have Cecil, if I didn't have Leslie, if I didn't have the people that helped me get here. Those were my teammates. And so when he was talking about that, I couldn't help but really and deeply resonate with it. The other thing he said that really impacted me, that really kind of hit home, was he talked about the NFL, and he talked about the NFL representing the United States. And he said, in NFL, where he talked about some of his best moments were sitting in the cafeteria, breaking bread with his brothers, as he called them. And he talked about one of his teammates being from inner city Detroit, and another from Mississippi, another teammate being 6'9", and a former teammate being 4'9", and how the diversity is what makes the NFL great, and how what makes us different makes us strong. And we're going into a very wild political season. And I think here in America, we have a tendency to not remember that the very things that make us different are the same things that make us strong. We don't all have to have the same political views. We don't all have to be from the same places. We don't all have to look alike, dress alike, talk alike. In fact, we shouldn't. Us being different is exactly what makes us strong. And I really appreciated that Jason Kelce highlighted that. Another cool moment was the embrace between he and his brother. I don't know Jason Kelce. I don't know Travis Kelce, but people always remark about his love for his brother. And he had to show up for his brother. When his brother was in college, he got kicked off the football team at the University of Cincinnati. And it was only with Jason's endorsement that the coach let him back on, because Jason is an advocate for his family. He takes fatherhood seriously, and he really, really loves his brother. He talked about the bond that they had, and watching them hug and embrace was a really, really cool moment. So I wish every single player, I wish every single person, regardless of what your job was, that you get to end it in the way that you want, and you get to end it on your time, with your control. And I'm happy for Jason Kelce because he earned that. He earned the right to end his career the way that he wanted to at the time that he wanted to. The one issue I'm going to take with today, by the way, the biggest issue I have with today is I did see someone say that Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce are the two most successful brothers in NFL history. And I disagree with that, actually. I think the two most successful brothers in NFL history are a man named Sterling Sharpe and a man named Shannon Sharpe. Sterling Sharpe had his career cut short, but for a period of time, he was the absolute best wide receiver in the NFL. And Shannon Sharpe may also be the best tight end that has ever played. Travis Kelce is currently breaking his records. But the records Travis Kelce is breaking is during this crazy passing time. Shannon Sharpe did not play in those times. So in my opinion, it's the only thing that came out today about the Kelces that was wrong is I actually think the Sharpe brothers, Shannon and Sterling, are the best family duo to ever play in the NFL. Or the best brother duo to ever play in the NFL. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you go watch his retirement speech because I think it's pretty cool. And I hope you learned some lessons that will improve your mental health as well. If so, please leave a comment. I would love to hear what your thoughts are about this video. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about Jason Kelce's retirement speech. I would also love it if you would please share this video, if you would please like this video, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you hit the bell so you get notified each and every time we release a video in the Therapist React series on this channel. Thank you guys for being here, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video.